Reddit by Reddit recap. What is the worst thing that has happened at a high school reunion party that you attended? At my 10-year reunion, the organizers were doing the thing where they give awards for the person who came the farthest to attend, the person with the most kids, etc. The award came up for who had the oldest kid, and people started shouting out their kids' ages. When it quieted down, this shy girl near the front said in a normal voice, 11, and then we all realized why we had stopped seeing Heather right before graduation. The Heather for my graduating class got pregnant in 8th grade. None of us believed her. It was really awkward when she had her baby. Didn't happen to me, but I had this friend who got someone pregnant back in the day and she kept the kid. They've both been great about it. He helps financially, but that was the extent of his contribution. She married soon out of high school and met a great guy who has been the de facto dad. Either way, it's a day bring your kids if you have them event, and someone let slip that my friend is that kid's real dad, and the kid heard it and it was a refine show. Everyone was trying to figure out who said that, and how could someone spill that secret, etc. In the end my friend pretended he was shocked, and laughed it off as a joke, which honestly I fronted the kid was probably a good move. Not so much at but before. 10-year reunion for my largest school. 500 graduates per year. The plan was for the reunion to take place over Thanksgiving weekend. To help pay for the expense, raffle tickets were sent out to the entire class to sell. The reunion didn't happen. We'd been there less than an hour, having a great time reconnecting. Suddenly an old friend approached and said, "Is that your wife over there? She's pretty hammered," and as we watched, she tripped and fell face first. Full body crash onto a 12-top table where many of my old classmates were sitting. The table broke, food and drinks flew everywhere. I walked over, scooped her up and half carried half walked her out the door. She took Xanax before going, unbeknownst to me, and was an alcoholic who started slamming drinks as soon as she got there. So, good times. Someone I knew from school tried to arrange an unofficial reunion as the school weren't going to do one. He was socially inept, so would say and do odd things which people picked up on a lot, but his heart was always in the right place. He went a lot of effort but very few people responded at all. Those that did mostly made snide comments about the event behind their back, like dissing the location, etc. Some made fun of him personally too, as he was doing some admittedly odd organizing. Then close to the event he cancels and blows up, sending everyone a justified message about how they can all go suck eggs, and he was just trying to do something nice and wanted to catch up with people. That was received with more snide remarks too. He died unexpectedly just a few months later. That's really sad. People can be pieces of sometimes. It's been a decade since I finished school. I see an old classmate sometimes when he does maintenance work in my apartment block. About a year ago he asked if I was going to the reunion organized by some of our classmates. I said no because I couldn't think of anything worse and also hadn't been invited. Apparently they organized it over Facebook, which I don't have. When I next saw him 6 months later I asked how the reunion was and he exasperatedly explained that it had been a real show. The mean girls had started planning it together, fell out and then started each planning their own. So there was about 4 tiny awkward parties and everyone was confused. Someone told me, "You're not a failure, be yourself." And so when I went and proudly told them what I was doing these days, working a $9.25 per hour job, going back to school, having gotten life together in a rehab and back on track, I was proud. They all pitied me and one dude tried to give me money. It made me feel bad about my current progress. I hate people. The biggest thing I've learned is to never compare yourself to other people. I was an A and B student in high school, and I had very good grades in college, but I'm currently working in a grocery store making $14.50 an hour. I would have never thought that I would be working in a grocery store post-college, but here I am. My sister, my now husband and I were all in the same graduating class, plus my husband's best friend. Best friend's name is something like John Smith, very common. He was very popular in HS, super nice guy, stood out in a crowd. If you didn't know him you certainly knew of him, even in a massive school. So anyway, the 20-year reunion rolls around. My sister is the only one who wanted to go. She called right after, Very upset. Apparently there was a huge memorial wall for John Smith, who had just died. None of us knew. Awful. My husband was like, huh? But we just saw him, called him up and was like, hey dude, are you dead? No, not dead. Surprised, but not dead. Anyway, it turned out the much less popular other John Smith was the one who died. They made a lovely memorial for the wrong guy, who was forgotten totally. We still run into people to this day who see him and are like, hey, aren't you supposed to be dead? Did anyone else get a little sad thinking about which John Smith you would be? My 10-year reunion killed itself before it happened. Turns out our class president, traditionally in charge of organizing, took a hard turn into a footloose character after high school. Highlights of her event planning include no alcohol allowed, not even BYOB. A few classmates in a reasonably successful band offered to play for free. She was adamant there would be no music or dancing. Plus ones were to be spouses only. 2 guys happily told her they'd bring their husbands, and she kicked them both from the Facebook page. The venue was the high school's soccer field in Iowa. In August, we were welcome to bring our own chairs. A few people offered to bring beanbags and bocce and similar games. She said no, because it would make the reunion too much like tailgating. Suggested entertainment was a guided tour of the school, which had undergone zero change since we graduated. Catering was from Hy-Vee, which is a grocery store. Their food is actually okay, but tickets were $60. It was ultimately cancelled because out of our class of 300, less than 10 people bought tickets. At my 20-year reunion 2 decades after high school, 2 guys got arrested for fist fighting on the sidewalk outside the bar we went to Friday night. Why were they fighting? One of the guys slept with the other guy's girlfriend in high school, and drunkenly brought up the 20 years ago fling. Neither of them married her, or even dated her after high school. Those idiots got charges 20 years later for her, though. The people who were supposed to plan our high school reunion dropped the ball, so I figured it wouldn't happen. But then this other dude from our high school stepped up to plan it. He was in a graduate program and also working part-time at a banquet hall, and he said that his boss would give us the banquet hall space for free. It was a really nice gesture, and he seemed really into it. He had been miserable in high school, grumpy, sullen, unpleasant, mean to other people. He came out in college, so maybe the weight of having to keep it a secret was part of why he was so unpleasant. Maybe he'd be more fun now. I was working a job and had no savings at the time, so I was neither interested in having my former classmates pity me nor was I gunning to shell out a lot of money to attend. Plus my ex might be there and that didn't feel worth it. The organizer made a Facebook event and asked people to Venmo him the cost of admission prior to attending. He wanted something like $15.20 a head. I can't remember. Anyway, it didn't really feel worth paying for. Maybe if there would be some drinks included or something, I would go for an hour. I sent him a private message asking what the admissions ticket covered: food, drinks, the space was free. After all, he posted publicly on the Facebook page that if the cost of admission was too steep, message me and we can work out some financial aid. What? I then publicly posted, asking what the admission cost covered. No response. Other people asked too. He said it would go towards having a bartender and server dedicated to the event space, as well as towards food. Okay, fair. Folks, he was the server. My friend showed up having not yet paid him, and he barred her entry. The people who had paid the admission cost showed up to an empty banquet hall, were given a menu by their former classmate, and told to order their own food and drink from him. He pocketed the admission ticket money as his fee. After an hour, he brought out one grocery store sheet cake for 75 people to share. That was it. One guy had made not one but 2 fortunes and had a net worth of well over $100 million by our 20th reunion. High-speed modem patents in the late 1980s. Early investor in broadband. Right place at the right time. He'd already retired. On our classmate update bulletin he listed his occupation as unemployed and unemployable as a bit of a gag. Some of the well-meaning but clueless types sought him out to offer encouragement and tips on how to find work. I've met 2 billionaires through work. One does work, and the other happily, oh so happily, lives the life most of us only dream of. He's a super nice guy and mentioned he might go back to work after his kids are grown. He says he's lucky enough to be home with them. I didn't go to my 10-year but my entire friend group did and they all called me asking where I was. While on the phone with one of them, he goes, "Oh Brittany is here." Brittany was a train wreck in high school and apparently hadn't changed in 10 years. She proceeded to get trashed, get in a fight with a waitress and did drugs in the bathroom. Police picked her up that night after she was found her passed out in the McDonald's bathroom. Graduated in 2008 and not a single word about any reunion. I wasn't even invited to the high school reunion. You're probably better off anyway. Some girl confessed to cheating on her high school sweetheart, thinking enough time had passed it wouldn't bother him. She thought wrong. My therapist encouraged me to go to my 10-year, which, in retrospect, was probably a play for job security. It wasn't really bad, just odd. A guy came with full kiss style makeup on white face, black shapes around his eyes and black lips. We were too awkward and polite to mention it, so everyone just chatted with him as though it was completely normal to turn up like that. Best comment of the day. I think I had a great high school experience. Groups, yes. Cliques, who exclude people, no. Our class held together most of the time. Our homeroom teacher said that we will very quickly forget most of it, but we will remember the good times and forget the bad ones. I have to say, that is completely true. It has been just 2 years since I finished high school, but I sometimes wish to go back because it was the time I didn't move a finger to learn and has great grades. I saw my friends almost every day and had more time for the friends from primary school. I'm from a village and went to school in a small town in Croatia. Last year, we had a 5-year primary school reunion. The first 8 grades in high school is 3, 4 or 5 years, and it was amazing. The school is small with only over 200 students as we are a small community of 14 villages. 4 out of 20 people in class were in the same grade with me in high school and 2 were in the same school. We met with our homeroom teacher in our school, had dinner in a local restaurant, and chatted in the outside parts for hours and relived memories. 8 of us went to the small town previously mentioned to a club/cafe bar, and it closed around 4 AM. So we went to a gas station with a 24/7 cafe and finally went home with 6 people squeezed in one car at around 7:30 AM. Since to left before. Took pictures in the fields BC. The sunrise was too beautiful. Lol, can't wait for the next one and for the high school reunion in 3 years.